and Lords podcast.
Welcome to the Lord's Minute, our quick hit video series where we talk about all the biggest happenings in gaming and beyond. I'm your host, Ty Swinson, writer for Lords of Gaming, and with me again is Lord King. Xbox Studios is celebrating its 20th anniversary on November 15th with a nice stream for the fans. Today will be a special Lord's Minute as we take a few moments to discuss our favorite Xbox memories and IPs over the years. Lord King, let's start with you.
Well, this is great because just I don't know, for the past 2.5 hours, I was putting away my Xbox collection of games.
I saw.
So yeah, and I just started like it just all the memories just started flooding back to me. So somebody asked me, did I have Too Human? And I was gonna pop it in and play it too because I actually love that RPG, and I was so pissed off where they didn't finish the story.
Mhm.
And it was one of the best stories for me during that time. But at the same time, I noticed that we had a ton of Japanese RPGs during the early 360, and all of these great games. As I started going through my collection more and more, like I have all the Assassin's Creeds,
Mhm.
all the Maddens, everything. I'm just sitting there going through them, like all the Ghost Recons, all the Ninja Gaidens, and I'm just like, oh my god, I have all the Splinter Cells, right? And I was gonna take pictures of that. I know Boom would have went crazy, um, and all my Halos. And
Right.
you start to get this, oh man, I just want to play them again. And I was like, yeah, I do have the Master Chief collection.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can just play them at any time.
Right.
Um, so that took that for a while from there, and then I saw my Halo Wars, and it's just all the Gears, and then the memory of the Gears commercial, uh, that that commercial, the first Gears commercial, transformed how I viewed video games in a sense that it brought a melancholy end of the world type of feel. Even if I
Yes.
felt that before in any game, I've never saw a trailer to a game introduce that emotion into me that made me, can't wait for the game for it to drop. And then when it did drop, it lived up to every ounce of expectations that I got from the commercial. And it was I think one of the most successful new franchises launched that just actually just took off and had the same amount of steam as Halo, because you figured that Microsoft had Halo, but like what else did they have? Because Forza wasn't a thing at that time, and it
Mhm.
was just Halo, and then Gears showed up, and then it was like, oh my God, they got a one and a two. And Gears are so diametrically opposed to what Halo was, because it was, like the over the shoulder and then the cover base. And that system just lent itself, and the brutality of the game lived to the mature audience, like something that we would never get from Nintendo. And Sony was edgy, but Sony wasn't cross the line edgy. They weren't brutal,
Mhm.
and I thought Gears brought the brutality out. Um, so at that time, I think my best memories, excuse me, is it has to be that time where Gears was launching, and the 360 was in a movement. It was like a wave. It was it was everything that Sega was, and everything that Nintendo and Sony wasn't.
Mhm.
Because Nintendo and Sony was edgy but played it safe. Nintendo was squeaky clean, and it showed in the Mortal Kombat's with the Genesis versus the Mortal Kombat from Nintendo. So when you got Gears and you saw the blood and the chunks, and you cutting them up with the chainsaw, the first time you chainsawed any enemy, it was a moment, it's a aha moment. It was a visceral moment to it that brought some type of animalistic nature out and playing the game. And then the music and the mood and the monochrome type colors that they was using at
Hmm.
certain points. It was just the color, everything. It just hit perfectly. And I'm pretty sure that the game had like probably development hell, but
Right.
it came all together to give us some of the best gaming memories. So I think I'm gonna have to say my best out of the whole 20 years, and Xbox has some stuff for me. It has to be the whole Gears phenomena because no one saw it coming. No one could have truly predicted what it would be and what it still is because when you get a real good Gears game, it's on equal footing as a real good Halo game. And
Hmm.
that's speaking a lot when it's a pillar of a franchise. I don't think it's like probably a Mario and a good Zelda,
Hmm.
so it's like that one and that two. Sony, I don't really think they have ones and twos like that. They
Right.
have, very top tier games, but I'm talking about like pillars that can actually rock solid, hold a franchise and can carry it for at least a year or two without anything else coming out. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with that part. Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned Gears of War of having such a great impact on you because Gears is also celebrating the anniversary. Its 15th anniversary. I think like just last week that was
Hmm.
celebrating. And for me, I'm obviously repping my Gears esports stuff today. Shout out, I'm about to start casting. But as a child in grade school, my first iteration of the franchise was with Gears of War 1 when I went to my best friend's to play with him and his uncle at the time had Gears of War 1.
Mm.
Um and so we went over and we started playing and it was definitely a game that I hadn't played before because I was the type of kid that my mom was like you don't need that type of game in the house. So I would have to sneak over to his place to get it until eventually, fast forward years later, I got Gears of War 3. And every time when coming home from school, getting homework out of the way, it was Gears of War 3, either co-op campaign with my friends or playing that Horde mode. Horde mode for
Yes.
Gears of War was industry defining. The way that they introduced this type of game mode that really no other game has been able to recreate that exact feeling and magic, in my opinion, that the
Yeah.
Gears of War franchise is able to accomplish with that. And like you mentioned, the trailers for every single new Gears of War still hits. They still are able to get that feel that blend of this melancholy and giving this visceral reaction from the viewer when they are experiencing this world is just mind-boggling. And to wrap it up with your last point, I do agree. I like how Xbox has more than one poster boy per se,
Yeah.
and that Gears of War has really always been that follow-up to that first punch that Microsoft is throwing out. That's why I'm very excited to see when we finally see the first sneak peek of the next installment for the Gears franchise, because we have Halo Infinite that is about to blow everyone's socks off in December, and
Yeah.
then the Gears of War story has really been ramping up as they're kind of in this passing on the torch to the new type generation from Marcus Phoenix to whether you're team JD or Kate Diaz for the next ones, but
Yeah.
their story is still strong. And they also have such a rich um, lore and world built around the games like Halo does. They have books, they have comics, and they have those um, tactical games like how Halo has Halo Wars, Gears now has
Yeah.
Gears Tactics.
I love how they're able to take the lore, the stories, and expound on them in different gaming genres. Because Gears Tactics is crazy. I mean, Gears Pop on the phone was nuts for me, and
Hmm.
I was playing that to death until it's sadly gone. Like Halo Wars, that's incredible. And what they're going to do with Halo Infinite now just only shows their thoughts going forward because they separated the Forza into Forza Horizons and the Forza Motorsports because
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that they sat down and they knew what they wanted to do with the Forza series, but you can't put both of those packages together to in order to actually make a proper racing simulator game is the Forza Motorsports, and you really need to dedicate all your fine tuning to the braking, steering, oversteering, understeering, all that stuff, and centralize on certain tracks with rain and weather and tire pressure and all this other stuff, and that stuff is not necessary in a Forza Horizon type of game where it's open world. And I'm playing 5 right now, and it looks like the pinnacle of what the Forza Horizon was trying to do from the beginning. I put the first one in, Forza Horizon 1 in today. It was absolutely nuts
Mhm.
to see where they're at now. And I believe Halo is going to do the same thing. Like they're separating the components, they're separating the multiplayer, and they're separating the campaign. I think Gears is going to do the same thing. Gears is going to really concentrate on the solo campaign like they did in the last one, but actually separate them from the core, because that way you can actually have your teams focus on what's special about this multiplayer, what's special about this story, what's special about, and I look at Forza Horizon multiplayer as the Horizon series
Mm.
because it's all inclusive. All your friends, you're driving around, you see your friends. And the motorsports seems to me like the story. Like, okay,
Right.
you're doing the campaign, you're getting your cars together, you're worrying about your singular races. Yeah, you may see some of your friends' avatars and stuff like that, and maybe you might do multiplayer, but the central part of like a Forza Motorsports is you becoming one with the cars that you have and actually going forward.
I think you are onto something, King, and we'll wrap up at this point in that how we are probably going to see a similar take with the next Gears of War because with Gears 5 they introduced this new escape mode of like hive busters, and of course
Mm-hmm.
they still have their classic versus mode and then the horde mode. Um, but in terms of focusing on teams, and I won't spoil it, there's an important decision you have to make at the end of the campaign
Yeah,
for Gears 5. Now there's people that's been wondering how are the team at the coalition going to handle that. Some think they're just going to make a canon choice for you moving forward. But if they
I
have
don't
a
think so.
dedicated team, they might actually explore that avenue and you might have two completely different campaigns depending on what you choose.
I believe so. And I believe that's the way they're going to branch it out. It's it's how you're supposed to take the franchises going forward, because you have to look at what your ecosystem encompasses, and your ecosystem encompasses Game Pass, right? So if you have a campaign that is how can I say, non-static, and it's actually fluid, whereas you can either have one person as the main protagonist or another person as the main protagonist, and the story goes in a whole different pathway. That means that you're going to have multiple engagements with a campaign, and it
Mhm.
actually can live and grow in there. Could you imagine them giving you DLC specifically if your choices was made for JD, or you
Mm.
understand? So this stuff can actually grow into a whole different space, and campaign will be done at campaign, and then you have the people doing multiplayer where that space can actually live as well.
Right. It's definitely exciting to see, but all in all, Xbox has had a tremendous history and tremendous successes over the years. And myself and King were just really excited to see what they bring next, and we're looking forward to it.
Yes, sir.
This has been the Lord's Minute. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at lordsofgaming.net. I'm Ty Swinson here with Lord King, and this has been the Lord's Minute.
Peace.